Hello everyone, welcome to Conjunctions in Astrology. This time it's the moon in conjunction to Mars in your chart. A very common conjunction happens for 2.5 days in every month. So if you have this in your chart, let me explain what it means for your destiny, including the sign and house positions. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. If the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. First of all, though, do you actually have a conjunction of the moon and Mars in your chart? You may think you do, but you may not have. A conjunction in the ancient Vedic system is about planets being in the same sign together, because a sign equals a house. So, if two or more planets are in the same sign, no matter how far apart they are by degree, they are in conjunction. But if one planet is 29 degrees of one sign, let's say, and the other planet at 0 of the next sign, that's not a conjunction, even though they are only 1 degree apart in space, because they are in different signs, therefore different houses, with a completely different lord. Another point to consider is the nakshatra. If planets are in a different nakshatra but in the same sign, are they still forming conjunction? Most definitely they are, because the nakshatra just gives them an internal experience, but they're still in the same sign, they're still sharing the experience of that house, and they are still in a conjunction. If the moon and Mars then are in the same sidereal sign, you definitely have a conjunction of these two grahas. Now, the moon and Mars together is very potent because whatever affects the moon affects your mind, your whole consciousness, and your whole experience of life. Let's have a look first of all at the energies involved. Who then is the moon? The moon is known as Chandra in the Vedic system. He is the most gentle of all the grahas. He has no enemies. He rules the 4th house of the chart, the mother, the land, and the home. He is the country and all feeling of security connected to where we feel we belong. Indeed, he rules security itself. The moon controls all our happiness and fulfillment in this material existence. He is also our DNA program by which we will burn our karmas in this lifetime. The moon rules the food which we eat, the health of our body, and our very longevity. He is our changing emotions and, of course, manas, the mind itself, which is more difficult to control than the wind. And who is Mars? Mars is known as Mongol in the Vedic system. He is associated also with Kartikeya, the general of the army of the gods. He is a fighter for justice, for every righteous cause. He protects those who are vulnerable, the weak, and especially the family. Mars is also the son of Bhumi, Mother Earth, and therefore he has complete control over this Bhuloka, this earthly plane. He becomes very strong in this age of Kali, which we are currently in, the age of conflict, argument, and violence. He becomes exalted in the sign of Capricorn, which is like a graveyard, because Mars is exulting in the dead. He is exulting in the enemies he has destroyed. But on the positive side, Mars is our stamina, energy, and our courage to get things done. He is our motivating factor. So when he is well placed, he gives you this in abundance. Mars is Karika, representative for brothers, also the home, the land, property, sporting activities, computers, and mathematics. He is also connected to astrology very, very strongly. But when he is afflicted in the chart, there can be violence, anger, jealousy, disruption, and many conflicts. Therefore, we must always control Mars energy for best effect. When the gentle Chandra comes together with the warrior Mars, you may be surprised to know it's a Mahabhagya Yoga. Maha means great, Bhagya means fortune. Why so fortunate? Well, because the moon has no enemies and Mars is a great friend to the moon. When Mars is with his friends, that is Sun, Jupiter, and the moon, he is most happy. He can give his most potent and successful factors in your life. Of course, for full analysis, you must see sign, house, and aspects to this conjunction. When the malefics get involved, Rahu, Ketu, or Shani, it's not so easy. Now, the biggest plus about Mars in conjunction to the moon is that he increases the chance of financial benefits, many times wealth. Why is this happening? Moon is about security, sustenance, material success, and Mars gives a real potent push to this. And so certainly this Moon-Mars conjunction can be seen in the charts of many wealthy people, particularly business people, by the way. I will discuss more in a minute. But even if you are not that wealthy by all the other karmas in your chart, Moon-Mars Mars will give potential for gaining financial success and sustenance by your own initiative, daring, and creative ability. You can also make very good gains from property deals because Moon is about home, landed interest, and Mars is about actual property itself. So Moon Mars, very, very good for property investors, buying, selling property, finding successful profit in these ways many times. And the moon is about providing sustenance, food for others. So cooking food in some way can be prosperous for you, successful for you, even hotel industry itself. The moon is the health of our body, and Mars is cutting a knife. So definitely surgeons could also have this conjunction, and all medical people, including psychoanalysts, counselors, definitely, because the moon is the mind. Now, in general, the moon is your mind. So in your chart, Mars is conjunct to the significator of how your mind works. It makes you very quick thinking, very goal orientated, definitely. Once you know what you want, you're going for it full on. This is why the moon Mars is great for business people, entrepreneurs, etc. But in any career, you are very goal orientated. You set a goal, you set a target, and you're full on to achieve it. This is good, but there is a slight problem that can become very, very difficult indeed, especially when other malefics get involved, particularly Saturn. The problem is you become fixed, you become stubborn, especially when you have Moon Mars in a fixed sign, such as Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio, my goodness. But in all signs, Moon Mars has a stubbornness, a fixity. You've got your sights set on that goal, on that target, and even if the goal post itself has moved, you're still moving ahead to the original inspiration. It's to do with a tremendous amount of focus and willpower. If you do not achieve the original goal as you set it, you feel compromised. So there's a certain lack of flexibility for sure, and this can definitely impact in personal relationships. You will not be moved when you said you're going to do something, and it's hard for anybody to persuade you otherwise. And it is in relationships themselves, all sorts of relationships, that the Moon Mars can become a little bit difficult, definitely. Here's the thing. Yes, Moon Mars can give you fame, success, status, and wealth. But in dealing with emotions in relationships, it can become tricky. In personal relationships, again, some signs more than others, but the moon is being agitated by Mars. Emotions are fiery. You're a bit touchy, even moody, some people. You are definitely up and down with your emotions. You can say things out of turn. You can just express feelings suddenly, impulsively. Sometimes people don't know what you're going to do or say next. There are two ways in which Moon Mars react to emotional situations. One, you become hot-tempered, overreactive, impulsive, as I say, saying things out of turn. And this can be disturbing to relationships. You become unpredictable. On the other hand, depending on sign, you can actually cut off emotions completely. Mars is not ready to deal with all of these touchy-feely emotional factors of the moon. He doesn't want to be clinging to the past. He doesn't want sentiment getting in the way of his project. So it can actually make the mind very tough, a little bit hard, some people. And this is where deep, intimate relationships can be affected by this Moon Mars. Partner finds you volatile, hot-tempered sometimes, unpredictable, or even becoming a little bit cold and hard-hearted in some circumstances. So you must see the full picture, however. See your 7th house lord and Venus in particular. Just don't rely on this one aspect, but it is a very important part of your personality. So in both male and female chart then, overall, the Moon Mars can actually make you a little bit of a tough cookie. You deal with many stressful situations in life in a very resourceful way, many of you. Once again, this is good in your public life, but in your family relationship, also ruled by the moon, there can be one or two issues. And with the mother, there's a very special struggle. The Moon Mars, either mother is dominating, very tough, very active person who is a little bit even inspiring to you. This can happen. Or she's difficult to deal with. There can be many conflicts with the mother, even in some cases, a sort of power struggle later in life with the mother. In the female chart, you have to look very carefully at this moon Mars, because the moon is our motherly qualities for everybody. And because for a woman, mothering is such a big part of women's life, this moon Mars can disturb the mother aspect in your life. Sometimes you can be a little bit of a tough love mother, etc. Again, you have to see the sign to be sure. But generally, most women with this Moon-Mars conjunction get on better with their kids maybe when they are older. But you can also always be quite demanding of them. Now, Mars also represents the brother in the chart. So for both male chart and female chart, when you have Moon Mars, there's a special karma with one brother in your life, very often seen. There's a definite karmic bond with this brother. Mostly it can be very supportive, even extremely close throughout your life. But again, I have to tell you, once the malefics get involved, particularly Saturn, there can be separation, there can be discord, even a very strong competitive aspect between you. Now, generally in your health, Moon Mars can actually make you deal with stress swiftly. You just deal with stressful situations strongly and with enormous willpower, pushing obstacles out of your way. And this can be good. But when the Moon Mars is afflicted either by house or sign or by aspects, especially once again by Saturn, health can be seriously impacted. But the stress doesn't go away, it is simply internalized. Internalized emotions are very common with this Moon Mars. There can be high blood pressure, blood disorders generally, headaches, stress headaches, migraines, all very common, including sometimes accidents. Next is sign placements. Let's start with the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Moon Mars here, well, certainly Mars is happy. He's strong, he's potent, he's in the fire element where he likes to be the best. It gives you a really enterprising and energetic nature. You are forceful, forcing yourself through difficult circumstances, keeping on going under all conditions. It's very, very good for business people, innovators, creative people, definitely. But you are impatient, and it's definitely going to have more of a difficult impact in relationships. It's going to make you very emotionally expressive, that's for sure. Hot-tempered, maybe irritable sometimes. But generally, if there are some favorable aspects like Jupiter coming in here, it can definitely help calm things down. And with maturity, you will learn to use this much more in a positive way, let's say, in your intimate relationships. And that's the thing about Moon Mars fire signs. You're a very protective person. Depending on the house and the aspects, of course, you can have very high ethics indeed. You protect family, friends, but also in wider society, those who are weak, those who are vulnerable. You care deeply about these situations. You hate any sort of injustice. Now, in the earth signs, that is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Moon Mars, of course, is going to help you build security in your life. You're a big builder in life. You can be good in all of those property concerns I've discussed, building wealth through landed interests, some of you. Moon Mars can give technical expertise in all of these earth signs, and of course connects you to engineering careers sometimes also. Moon Mars helps you to build up slowly, consistently over time. It calms down some of that temperamental feariness of the Mars, and this can be helpful. But despite this, there will still be those relationship issues I've already spoken about, especially when, as I've said many times, there are malefics afflicting. So family relationships, particularly Moon, Mars, Taurus, colleagues, work colleagues, Virgo, and servants maybe as well. Moon, Mars, Virgo, and in Capricorn, clashes with the government, with authority figures, and even with the boss. With the Moon Mars in the air signs, that means Gemini, Libra and Aquarius. Now here, neither Moon nor Mars are particularly strong, so it calms the whole thing down, but it gives you enormous focus dealing with people. Now definitely there's going to be some fallouts. There's going to be all those irritability factors I've spoken about in personal relationships. But Moon Mars in all of these air signs, you worm your way out of sticky situations. You see, Moon Mars in these air signs has people skill. You're very good at public relations especially, and you know what makes people tick. So you can find solutions to intractable problems. You're a fantastic team player sometimes and a very good leader of any group situation. It's a little bit tricky though in Aquarius, where Moon Mars becomes very, very stubborn, as I've spoken about on the video earlier, and Moon is erratic here, and Mars is completely unpredictable. So over time, you will learn to control this aspect of yourself. Otherwise, it is going to give difficulty in relationships generally, and particularly with your friendships. Moon Mars acts very powerfully in the water signs. That means in Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces. But my goodness, what emotional volatility. You react strongly to any emotional situation. You're either outpouring the emotions or holding them inside, trying to control them. The trouble is that the moon in all of these water signs, including Scorpio, where he is debilitated, the moon is very sensitive, very emotional, very deep, meaningful feelings. And Mars is simply putting an edge to them, making people not see the sincere depth of your emotions. It's very important not to suppress emotions, feelings when you have Moon Mars in any of these water signs. You need to find a way to constructively show feelings in a more, let's say, calmer way. This will definitely help you over time, and people will see and register your deep sincerity. There can be skill in property dealership, etc. in Cancer, or there can be instability in the domestic situation throughout your life sometimes if there is affliction. Moon and Mars in Scorpio, watch for those secretive aspects, those manipulative behind the scenes factors in your business. But generally speaking, you're a very good wheeler dealer, but you just need to be open and completely forthright about everything. In all the water signs, Moon Mars is probably better placed in Pisces, where the moon is sensitive and empathetic, and Mars is happy in the sign of his friend Jupiter. Here you can help people have good religious understanding, empathy, sympathy, be a real benefit to society through your social work or your kindly and protective nature. In the 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th, that means in the Kendra houses, the Moon Mars will push your life forward, giving you focus and definite power to change things in your life, but a certain amount of instability will definitely be there. A very forceful personality when you have Moon Mars 1st house, and definitely you can even have fame and very, very good reputation if it is well aspected, not afflicted. Certainly, you are known as a person who gets moving with things and gets things done. Well aspected by sign, you can be a very active person in your community. You can get property dealership success, landed interest success. You can be a very go-getter, self-employed person, business person, definitely. And the Moon Mars 1st house is definitely generally good for wealth generation also. Exactly the same for the 4th house. Moon is strong here, but Mars is a little bit agitating, but well placed by sign, good aspects, property dealership, landed interest, all go well also. Relationship with the mother is very, very karmic, very, very big. It can be supportive sometimes, well aspected, or it can be disruptive a little bit. But generally speaking, it's a karmic relationship which is very important for you to work through. Domestic life is important to you, definitely. Moon is here. You want security, happiness, home life is so important, but Mars will disrupt it from time to time of necessity. Moon Mars 7th house going to impact intimate spousal relationships, tempers flying, instability, incompatibility sometimes if it is afflicted, and a general feeling that you are not being emotionally understood in your relationships, no matter how hard you try, can sometimes be there. In business situations, there can be instability, difficulty in a business partnership, certainly, but you get fantastic insight into marketplace opportunities if you are a business person. Just avoid too much impulsive moves. 10th house, a lot of changeability definitely happening in your career. You are pushy, you are determined when you are engaged, but the moon will only work here, 10th house, when he's in the mood to work. So many changes of your career in one lifetime. You could have many different careers completely with this Moon Mars 10th house. But you are pushy, you are determined, you are goal orientated, you can get yourself into leadership situation very, very fast indeed. Just make sure it's in the right career for yourself, where you feel totally at home, totally suited to the atmosphere. You can do very well in food industry, catering industry, and again, definitely property landed interest dealerships. You need to have the space to work under your own steam. However, that's important. So there can be many clashes with superiors sometimes. Moon Mars second house, you are goal orientated towards getting financial stability, security, well aspected, well placed by sign. You will definitely achieve this. You're a real wheeler dealer in your financial organization. It's great for family, business people generally. But when there is affliction, there can be conflicts within family, business situation. There can be all sorts of changeability in your financial security. But Moon Mars is a favorable aspect. You will always come through. But watch your speech. The Moon and Mars are in the house of speech, and I've just spoken about so deeply about the impulsivity, things just being said, spur of the moment, emotional speech, destructive speech, sometimes hurting other people without meaning to. Well aspected, it will not happen. But if it is ill aspected, watch your speech so that you can maintain harmony, particularly in the family. In the 3rd, 6th, 11th house, you're going to get yourself into some confrontations and some definite quarrels, even litigation situations, many of you. Mars is super strong here, but he also gives you power to come out of them and to win against difficult enemies and difficult situations. You're extremely enterprising, extremely self-motivated when you have Moon, Mars, 3rd, 6th, 11th. You've always got new plans, new targets, new goals. You are always moving forward in some way in your life. But as I've said, conflicts and disputes can be a part of this when there is ill aspect. Depending on sign, 3rd house, you can have media skills, writing skills, communication skill is fantastic. People really listen to you. Just make sure you are saying things which are harmonious. That's a thing. But what a fantastic litigation lawyer you can be. Very effective if it is well aspected. And exactly the same goes for 6th house. Dealing with disputes, you can be superb. In the 6th house, watch your own health. There can be high stress levels, high blood pressure, all the things I've spoken about, migraines, etc. But great for your own employment in the medical field, maybe. In the 11th house, great for profit in your own self-employment business or in a leadership position, definitely. But clashes with your work colleagues, clashes in your social circles may occur if there is affliction. Friendships go through definite ups and downs. In all of these, 3, 6, 11, there can be strong sibling karmas as well. 11th house, elder sibling. 3rd house, younger sibling. Check what I've said earlier about the brother aspect. It's very strong in all of these houses. Moon, Mars, 5th, 9th house, going to give a certain charisma to your personality, but it's not an easy placement for the Moon or Mars. It's about education, learning, and being taught, all of which you desire but do not find harmony in many times. You're very keen to learn, keen student when you are emotionally engaged, a powerful and penetrating ability to understand academic subjects, but you quickly become bored and you can leave a course on an impulse sometimes if afflicted. Moon, Mars, 5th, 9th house, you can be a fantastic teacher. You can inspire students, have many followers, etc. Fans, even if you are in media or public career. But you may have difficulties in foreign lands, Moon, Mars, 9th house, if it is afflicted. Foreign business can be successful or not, entirely depending on the sign and the aspect. Generally, some conflict of opinion with all who try to advise you. Moon, Mars, 9th house. Definitely with your father at some point also. Moon, Mars in the 2 Dustana houses 8 and 12. It gets very interesting here. First of all, Moon is in a Marikastana in the 8th house. Moon, Mars, 8th house. You can have difficult changes in your life, sickness, illness, challenges, accidents. It could all be happening if there is ill aspect not well placed by sign. But well placed by sign, well aspected, what a wheeler dealer, what a business person, what fantastic profits, investments and success you can have. Moon, Mars, 8th house. A lot of wealth may be generated, particularly sometimes family business also. It's good for medical work, surgeons again, Moon, Mars, 8th house, because 8th house is about medical emergency situations, so you can be fantastic here. And of course, it's occult study. Mars is astrology. Moon, Mars in this 8th house, fantastic occultist and astrologer. Moon Mars 12th house, you're a restless person. Travelling into foreign lands, definitely. Residence there cannot be seen though, simply from Moon Mars. But profit and business profit in foreign lands, very, very likely. But there will always be expenses coming and going. So financial fluctuations will always be there. Moon, Mars, 12th house. Watch your subconscious motivations as well. You can have fears, phobias, mental health, anxieties, all of these things. They need to be brought out into the open. But Moon gives you great creativity, great intuition here as well. So writers, creative people, novelists, etc. can even benefit from this Moon Mars 12th house, even get wealth in these areas if there is good aspect. Check the karmas of both Moon and Mars in your chart up on your screen right now. New to my channel, sub below. Great to have you on board. Goodbye for now and God bless everyone.